Hi there and welcome along to another workout for you to row along to. Today's workout is another standalone workout you can do at any time, and it's one of the tough ones. What we're going to do is 8 times 2 minutes with 2 minutes rest in between. And each of those 2-minute intervals you're going to do at your 2k rate and your 2k pace. Okay, so this one is a great row to do to almost see how honest you're being to yourself about your 2k pace. Are you actually rowing quite soft, as in today's session you can really go a lot faster than 2k pace, or are you actually being a little bit estimating your 2k pace and actually you can't quite hold it? Okay, so this one should really kind of even you out. It will get tough. By the time you get to the end of these 8 intervals, it really is going to feel tough, but it's kind of going to be mirroring what a 2k actual row is going to be like, where the first couple you're going to go, all right, okay, and then the next couple will be like, ooh, and then it'll be like, oh, and then the last ones will be like, oh, okay, so it's like a proper horror story. No, it's not a horror story. Yeah, so it's a tough old row. So as such, we're going to do a 5-minute warm-up. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the normal 4 minutes that we normally do for a warm-up, but then at the end of it, I'm going to add in 1 minute of kind of faster rowing to really get that heart rate up, ready for the main session. However, if you want to carry on warming up and make sure that you're really hitting the ground running by the time you do the first interval, then please do. Okay, it's more important that you're good and warm than it is that you stick to what I'm telling you to do. So let's start off this warm up by setting up our machine. Now in a concept 2, that means going straight to the drag factor and getting that to where you want it to be. If you don't know about drag factor, then please do check out the video that I have on this channel. I've got mine set to around about 135 right now for reasons that I will not bore you with. Next up, we shall go to our monitor and set it at eye heights. You don't have to look up and you don't have to look down unless you're on a non-concept 2, in which case the monitor could be somewhere you can't adjust. Which brings me to actually the weight of the stroke. If you just have a resistance or something on a different machine, not a concept 2, then set the resistance. You get a nice kind of feel from the stroke, but you don't have to heave your back against it, okay? It's like there's a real fine line there. Finally, if you can set the foot stretcher height, then please set them to a point when you're able to get to the front of the machine with your shins pointing vertically, okay? If you're set too high, you might not quite be able to get there, or in order to get there, your heels might come right off the foot plates. Or if you're set too low, you might go scooting straight past and hyperextension and lose power and stuff. All right, so we're going to start this warm-up at 18 strokes per minute, and the power is going to be just enough that you can think about pushing with your feet and then getting the timing right of your hands connecting to the handle. Okay, but I'll talk about that as we start. All right, then, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, and we're off. So for this first minute or so, I want you to think about the push of your feet and the time when your hands make the handle connect to the machine. And what I mean is that point when the chain picks up the flywheel or the water wheel or whatever that you're using. And you want to push with your feet at the same time that your hands connect the handle to the machine. And what should then happen is that if you have a forwards tilt into the front of the machine and straight arms, the power should flow through your body, from your legs, and into the handle efficiently. You shouldn't lose power, because if you push your feet too soon, your backside scoots away and you lose potential leg drive. And if you grab your arms too soon, you lose that powerful surge of power from your legs. So try and get feet at the same time as hands connect. And then try and get your pace up to about 2k plus 20 for the next 20 seconds. If you don't know what 2k training pace is, there's a full description on the description to this video. I've run out of time right now to take you through it. Last stroke here, put one foot on the ground and continue rowing with just one leg in the foot straps. Now this will help to ease off your flexibility, open up your hips a bit for coming into the front, but just make sure you don't over compress, which is easy with only one leg strapped in. Let's swap feet and then continue rowing. So I can see myself in the mirror in front of me, that as I come forwards, I'm over lunging because I have the ability to do that with only one leg strapped in. Remember folks, I talk a good game, but I'm a real work in progress myself. I've got more power leaks than the National Grid. Anyway, both feet in, legs straight, row with your back and arms. So you just swing over your hips, pull in your arms, then out with your arms, swing back over your hips. The point here being that you are pivoting backwards and forwards over your hips. You're not collapsing and kind of grinding through your lower back. Last one here, and let's roll to the front of the machine, and straight arms, forward lean, and just press out with your legs. But really think about holding this forward lean and straight arms and getting that connection timing right. And then in 15 seconds, we're going to go up to 24 strokes a minute on 2K plus 12 pace. About 7 out of 10 on the effort scale. Last one here. Right, here we go. So, just think about laying in a good amount of power, but I'm 2K plus 5 right now, just because I'm trying to make sure my legs know what's about to be asked of them. So maybe you might want to speed up to 2K plus 5 by now. Make sure your heart rate is up. Make sure your power is up and ready for when we start the main session. Okay, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, like I said, if you want to carry on warming up, pause this video if you're on YouTube, or on the podcast, hit pause, carry on warming up, and then come back to this, and I will explain one more time what it is that we're doing today. Okay, once again then, what we're doing is 8 2-minute intervals with 2 minutes rest in between. Now we're going to be doing this at our 2K stroke rate and our 2K pace. Now for me that means round about 30 to 32 strokes per minute. So this really is one of those sessions where you get a chance to practice a controlled higher rate. Okay, quite a lot of my sessions are down at the 18s, 20s, or maybe around about 24. It's all about kind of grinding in that fitness. So I really thought it was about time we did one of the higher rate ones, especially as a standalone workout that you can just come to when you're like, you know what, I've got 32 minutes spare. I'll just sit down and do it 8 times 2/2. Well, actually you need a bit more warm up and cool down, but you get what I mean. So the point here is this, from this very start, you want to be hitting that average 2K pace. Okay, you're not working your way into this through a couple of intervals. You just want to hit the ground running, boom, 2K pace, okay? And then you're trying to hold that through all 8 intervals. If you can improve, okay? But what I don't want you to do is smash out 2K minus 5 in the first interval and then you're kind of completely hanging off for the rest of it because you've destroyed yourself. I'd rather you increase through this, okay? So you start off at 2K pace, then if you think you can increase your pace through these 8 intervals, then please do, okay? If the last 7 and 8 go to pot, that's maybe okay, that's a good learning thing. But I don't want you to do the first one, absolute eyes bulging, and then you can't hold 2K pace for the rest of them. I need a drink after that. So our first 2-minute interval, 2K pace, 2K stroke rate, and this was going to get us super warm anyway. So don't just get into that and hold on for 2 minutes. Here we go then. You ready? In 3, 2, 1, go. So you really want to get up there, and then, like I say, get your pace and hold it. Don't worry if in order to hit your 2K pace, you find you are 1 or 2 strokes higher than you thought you might be. It's actually, in many ways, better to be higher and get that feel for high stroke rate training than to be lower rates and more power. Halfway. Remember to breathe. A good rhythm within each stroke. It's hard to do when I'm talking to you, to be honest. 30 seconds. Keep those arms straight at the front as you push with your feet. Almost there. 3, 2, 1. Oh. So this is kind of meant to emulate a 2K, but obviously you're rowing twice as far. So this 2 minutes, it's kind of an average for most people for round about 500 meters. Some people will row more over these two minutes. Some people will row less, but don't worry about it. Sorry, my sister just texted me to tell me that she's negative for her pre-flight PCR test because the two of us are flying to Vegas to scatter my mum's ashes. I've not had my test results yet. Oh, sorry. I know you, listen, you're going to be watching this in like July 2023 and you'll be like, what, you're off to Vegas? No, I wasn't. January 22, beginning of January 22. Off to scatter my mum's ashes and also catch Dave Lee Roth in concert. What came first? Oh. I think they both triggered each other, to be honest. Right, there is 27 seconds to go. If you want to do this as a rolling start, when there is only 10 seconds to go, start doing some light rowing, okay? And that'll protect your back from that kind of really powerful start, okay? So if you have lower back issues, start rowing in just a few seconds' time. Okay, 10 seconds. And the rest of us, pick up your handle, reseat your seat. We're going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. And get right up there. You'll notice I'm starting with a full stroke here. I'm not doing a race start at each of the intervals. It's more beneficial, that first powerful stroke, unless of course you want to practice a race start with shorter strokes. So really think about your starting position at each stroke. Arms straight. tilting over your hips, in towards the front of the machine, and shins vertical, and a powerful posture up on your sit bones. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, that one was certainly harder. Although I only averaged 31 strokes per minute on that one, and the one before was 32, yet both were 574 meters. So technically that means I was putting out a little bit more power per stroke. Just a tiny bit. Whew. Make sure and have a drink. I forgot in the last interval. Too busy being distracted by a text from Pam. So what I was meaning with the race start is that, especially for me, like a lightweight, because it's hard for me to get right up to pace at stroke one, what I tend to do is go whoosh, whoosh, whoosh really fast. So I go boom, boom, boom. So it's like those two really quick boom, 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 really get it up to, right up to my race speed pretty much instantly. Whereas if I was a big muscle-bound heavyweight, then that first launching stroke would get me straight up to pace. In fact, I'll tell you what I get to on the first stroke. Remember, if you want to do rolling starts, pick up your handle and get ready to start rowing. Nice light strokes from now. Try and time it so that we start together. The rest of us, we're going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So, my first stroke, I got to 159 there, and then down to 140 pace by the second one. So whether that was more about a delay between the timer ticking over and me starting the stroke, I don't know. But the important thing is that I'm trying to hold 1:45 and 31 or 32 strokes a minute. Need to breathe. It's not often I stop talking, but this is a rather intense session. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, 2 meters further. Tell you one thing, if I do test positive for COVID after today's pre-flight test, it's obviously not doing much to affect my rowing. I try not to talk about the whole COVID thing because obviously it dates these rows. Like I say, if you're watching this in 2025, 2030, whenever, you'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that. That was a weird time. It very much is. Make sure and have a drink like I just did. This is definitely a fast and furious row. Maybe that should be the hashtag for today's. It's fast and furious. These 2 minutes are quite short, really, but it's the glories of a Concept 2 time machine, where this 2 minute recovery goes over like that, but the 2 minute effort is quite slow. Okay, if you're going to do rolling starts, pick up your handle and get ready to go. You can start light rowing now. The rest of us, let's get ready in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Now, I know I'm not talking real finer points of technique today. It's mostly because once you get up to ramming speed like this, it's pretty much just your physical memory of your stroke that takes over. But really do take a moment to focus on that forward tilt into the front and holding it as you drive out with straight arms, as it's crucial to get as much power from your legs and your back, and then finish with a strong arm pull. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are in the company of Mr. John Bon Jovi, because we're halfway there. I will continue to make that joke every single time it occurs to me. Gotta tell you, it's getting tougher and tougher to talk to you during these. Heart rate is climbing up. The first one was at 79% of my rowing max heart rate. That last one was at 85. And we're only halfway there. And I am living on a prayer for the next 4. I may just have to stop talking a little bit. Because the thing is I want to train just as hard as you are. And usually for the low rates and even the mid-tier stuff, I can kind of get away with pushing it intensity-wise by talking and just kind of making do. Whereas this one, if I want to hold 2K pace, I might have to just have longer gaps in between sentences. Okay, 15 seconds to go. I didn't have a drink. Oh no. That's 10 seconds if you want to do light rowing. Everyone else, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. As we are halfway there, let's talk about the other half of the stroke, the recovery, and really just think about your arms away. So get them away. Nice and fluid, rhythmically. You don't want to jerk them out, just in, out. A nice rhythm, but get them over your knees before your knees bend. And that's the simplest way to help keep stroke rate high. 20. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh. Oh. That was not intentional. Went a little bit further there, 579 that time. Just shows how sometimes if you focus on one aspect of your stroke, it takes away the worry of everything else. So I was just thinking about hands away, and then those hands away being what triggered my forwards tilt into the front of the machine. And then that means that by the time I bend my knees, I'm already in the right position to roll into the front of the machine, ready for the next stroke. Oh, 3 to go. This next one's a bit no man's land, because you know you've still got 2 more to go, but you also want to push it. So hopefully you're starting to go a little bit faster now, each interval. I think I might, well, I was that time anyway, so. Right, 15 seconds. Told you the rest go quick. 10 seconds, light rowing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And this simplification of the stroke is sometimes easier boiled down to simply push, pull, push, pull, so that you really focus on not pulling at the front, but waiting until the back to pull, and then you let your arms rebound from the spring tension that your rib cage and muscles create on that strong pull finish. Okay. Legs starting to fade, but will stay strong. 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh. 2 to go. The next one is often the toughest, because you may be in a similar state to me, but you've still got 2 to go. The last one is quite often the best, because you know you're almost done. You just have to get that last one, knock it out of the park, then you get a wee rest and a wee cool down. But yeah, when you pull powerfully, that stretch of your chest and your rib cage and your intercostals, even your shoulders, there's a natural bounce, only about that far, but there's a natural release, rebound. That's why you squeeze your shoulder blades together, because that release back round again. And then that's what you use to help you get your hands away from you, so that you don't hold and then go. I see so many rowers hold and then go and lose that natural momentum of their body. 15 seconds, get yourself ready for rolling starts. 10. 2 more to go, come on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Because really, there's a few reasons to analyze technique, but on a row like this, it's really about pace, which comes from power and stroke rate. And if you are in the habit of pausing at any stage of your stroke, that will be hampering your potential higher stroke rate. Oh. Push, pull. Just push, push with the legs. Push, push, push. Keep the power up. No fade. 5, 4, 3, 2. That was a very weak last stroke. Oh. Sorry, this is like a dirty phone call now. %89 of max. And that's the thing, is this is still technically aerobic rather than anaerobic. It might be towards the end, those last 20 seconds, but the majority of these intervals, although they may feel anaerobic, they're not really. They're just really, really tough. So the fact that I haven't even hit 90% max heart rate yet kind of keeps me in quite a nasty place, to be honest. But like I say, the point of this is to embrace the discomfort, is to, you know, that after about a minute into this next interval, it's really going to be tough to hold the pace. But I want you to hold the pace, okay? 15 seconds to go until our last interval. Light rowing start now. Everyone else. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Now, breath is your friend here. Make sure to breathe in and out powerfully and rhythmically. Let your body know that you are in control. You don't want oxygen debt to be in control. And then try licking your lips. That can make it a little less mean. All right, almost there. 30 seconds. Push with the legs straight. Arms pull at the back. 3, 2, 1. Oh. 5, 7, 8. But at about 50, I really thought I was going to have to back off. Which is when I said about licking your lips. Oh, let's just take a moment. Just get breathing under control. Maybe if you're using ErgZone, find a 2-minute cool down. Hopefully you've got them bookmarked from the RowAlong track. Oh, there you go. Didn't take too long for my breathing to get under control. Okay, so 2-minute cool down. Let's start this at round about 18 strokes per minute, 2k plus 20, which is about 5 or 6 out of 10 effort. Still want to give a solid push from the legs. Then after 30 seconds, we'll start to ease off, okay? You ready? Here we go then. In 3, 2, 1, go. Oh. So, this is one of those times where you do really need a cool down. Your muscles and your heart were all working at max, hopefully. And so you use a cool down to just help everything calm down nice and smoothly, rather than just plummeting to your resting heart rate. Right, make sure to start slowing down, maybe closer to 2k plus 30, and this will then give your breathing, your muscles, your heart rate, that feeling of just easing. And also this concentration on rate and intensity will hopefully clear your mind too. Maybe that was a tough row that left you rolling around on the floor afterwards, in which case it's good to have a cool down to disengage your brain. So my 2 minutes for the cool down are up. You, of course, don't have to stop cooling down. You can keep on going. Or if you want to climb off the machine, find a nice clear spot somewhere. Then what's going to happen is mini-me with a very serious face has just popped up on screen, taking you through various stretches. Starting off with hamstrings, just hold that position. Make sure that you fold forwards. You're not bending and rounding your back. You want to fold into the front, okay? Much like the rowing stroke where you fold, pivot backwards and forwards. That's the point of the hamstrings one, is that you go down that way. Then the glutes is next, which I like the one where you just cross over and hold that way, and the rotation, that kind of stuff. You can do the one where you lie on your back and bring your knee up to you. I'm not going to do it because I'll fall off the back of the machine if you wish. Hip flexors, there are a few versions, but you'll see me doing a hip flexor. Quads, I do the standing one. I know a lot of people like to do the sprinters one, where you sit down on the floor and pull your leg behind you, and then you kind of like lean back into a straight line. You can do that one if you wish. And then there's like shoulder stretch, triceps, biceps, chest. The biceps one, remember, you put your arms behind you, but then you want to rotate, yeah, kind of rotate out with your hands, okay? So you arms behind, rotate out, and then that elongates your bicep, which then gives it the stretch. If you just do that, you don't get much of a stretch. So you can do that in a doorway as well, and it helps because then you're putting pressure actually on it. If you want to know more about stretching, by the way, do check out the Athlean X channel, Jeff Cavalier. He knows more about stretching than, well, anyone, like muscle building, all that kind of stuff. You watch his channel, he's incredibly knowledgeable and incredibly well built as well, must be said. He's the kind of guy, listen, if I had a body like this, like his, I would be rowing topless. Trust me. So, but yeah, it takes a lot of dedication to get to look like him though. So I remember watching one where he said, he's like, yeah, I maybe have like a slice of carrot cake once a year. That's really all I do. And this is not a good impression of Jeff Cavalier. Yeah. So yeah, which to be honest, I train like this because I love to eat. It's kind of, it's as sad as that, is that I'm sure I could be a lot thinner and trimmer and whatever if I didn't like to have a wee digestive biscuit with my coffee, or have a nice, on a Saturday night, have a nice slice of cake or something with my dinner, or have that big plate of spaghetti bolognese on a Friday. So I train and I have a balance between what I eat and how much I train, which to be fair over Christmas has gone in terms of I'm eating loads and I'm not training enough to kind of balance it off, but that's fine. It'll be interesting to see what happens through January, especially, well, what's going to happen when I'm in Vegas. So what you eat in Vegas doesn't stay in Vegas, you bring it home with you around your waist. So yeah, so that's going to be interesting. I might actually kind of try and do a track and record how I get on, like kind of what my weight ends up at, and how what I do to try and lose that weight over like January or whatever. Because no one in the world is trying to lose weight through January. Nobody. It won't be. Everyone will be like, oh, there's someone who's trying to lose weight. Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of, it might be interesting. I might not do it. It might be a bit too much, but it could also be a little bit fun. I still have to work out entirely what to do through January. This being the last row that I'll be uploading, obviously, while I'm away on this trip for a week. So yeah, there'll be slightly less. But what I might try and do is record a couple of videos from the hotel room or whatever. Just a couple of these ones about just things that I don't need to be sitting on a rowing machine for. I might maybe do them. I don't know. I might be too busy having fun, to be honest. So yeah. So anyway, sorry, he's still stretching up there, so hopefully you're still watching him and just putting up with me waffling. I do hope you enjoyed today's row. I mean, 8 times 2 minutes on, 2 minutes off is a standard killer row. Okay, this is one that, like I say, if you just think, you know what, I've only got around about 32 minutes plus a warm up and a cool down, then it's like a great lunch break row to do. You will go back to your desk, just sweat though. But it's a great one just to come to, for just to think, well, I've done so much low rate and mid rate rowing for so long. I need to try and get a little bit of higher rate rowing in there and like get that feeling, get that wind in your fur of what it's like to row at 30, 32 strokes a minute with proper power from your legs. Then this is a fantastic row to do, because these little 2 minutes are enough to take you up to that real point of oh, I can't do it, and then you get rest. And then you build up and you're like, oh, I can't do it, and then you get rest. And what happens is each interval, what should have happened is that point when it starts to get a little bit too much happens sooner and sooner, so that like at the first interval, I think maybe with 5 seconds to go, it started to get tough, but that was okay. The second one, maybe say 15 seconds to go, it's like, oh, I can feel it starting to kind of kick in now. And then it increased each time. And then it was basically with like a minute to go in that last interval, I was like, well, I'm going to have to really push and hold on here in order to get to the end. But the point is that as long as you're strong enough, as long as you embrace that discomfort, as long as you push through it, then you should be able to hold on to the end. Yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. This is why it's called embrace the discomfort, okay? It's going to be uncomfortable. But you need to experience that, and you need to know how to deal with it if you want to get better times through 2K and stuff. If you're always training within your comfort zone, you're eventually going to just hit a point where it's like a ceiling that you have to push through in order to be able to go any faster. So if you feel like you've plateaued, ask yourself, are you really embracing the discomfort and trying to push? Or that point when it starts to get a little bit too tough, are you backing off and you're not letting yourself push? Because remember, listen, the no gain, no pain thing is rubbish, okay? Or no pain, no gain, sorry. No gain, no pain. is, I mean, it's too much of an all-round catch-all phrase. But the sentiment behind it is right, is that by exposing yourself to that discomfort, that is how you will get improvements. If you're constantly staying on the other side of that, you're not going to get the improvements that you're looking for. So a row like this exposes you to that 8 times, and you learn how to deal with it 8 times. So if you come back to this like once a month or something and really think, right, I'm going to go for this again, and learn from it and learn what it feels like, and go, okay, I can feel that. I'm just going to take another 3 more strokes and see how it feels. And then go, I'm going to take another 3 more. Hopefully you can train yourself to get through that, and that's what's going to lead to your 1K or 2K or 5K, 10K, 60-minute, whatever gains is going to be, because you've taught yourself that you don't need to give in when it starts to get uncomfortable, that you do have it in you to continue, okay? Right, hopefully he's done. Let's see, are you going to wave at us? All right, bye-bye. So... thank you very much for doing this one. I will try and get things put up online so you know I'm still around. I will, of course, still be on emails and on YouTube and on Facebook and stuff anyway while I'm away, but hey, I'm allowed to take a break. So, but like I say, I'll maybe try and upload a couple of kind of thought ones if I can, but who knows. So in the meantime, remember, we're going to use the hashtag Fast and Furious on this one. I'm sure I've used that one before, but might as well do it again. Because it was Fast and Furious. So if you'll leave a comment somewhere, just Fast and Furious. And I will see you in another video, whether it's one that I will be recording next or whether it's one I have already recovered. Remember, there's hundreds of workouts up here now. I've been just a busy beaver for the past couple of years, throwing up so many workouts and plans up here. So hopefully you can find something that suits you. And remember, it's all for free. I don't charge you a penny for anything. Frankly, it would be rude, after all, because I just talk and waffle and whiffle. Imagine you had to pay for this. Oh my God. Anyway, stay safe, be well. Bye-bye.